Hello community, it's Alex here from Wild Rites. I hope your year has been wild and full of joy and myth and ritual and connection to nature and soul. We're here at the Winter Solstice, and I'd like to make this offering to you as a form of meditation and as a form of contemplation around this time of year. Winter solstice is a time for deep rest, renewal, and retrospect. The darkness holds us in a pregnant stasis or a pause if we allow it. It is a time to remember the promises hidden inside of us, granted only through facing into our deep losses, our falling inwards, and the composting of confrontation with our own darkness. At this time of year, the darkness is at its fullest, holding within itself the promise of a turning point, a new spiritual birth. It was traditionally the time of stories. The work of the summer and the autumn had gone by, and there was little to do in winter other than rest and repair and tell the tales of the ancestors. So let me take you on such a journey, to that place of darkness turning. Now, it could be a little scary, yet for those with the courage of a true heart and love for self and the other, it can be transformative and allowing. So come on, close your eyes, come and follow me into this tale. There was once an old man who lived on the edge of the moors. No one saw him, but all knew he existed. He wore a white beard and tired eyes in a quick and bright head. He resided in a land of moss and stone and dwarf oak and damp, which had been his domain for aeons. And once a year at the winter solstice, he would venture away from the moors and take his journey into the darkest parts of the wild woods, to an ancient clearing long used for important meetings and such. And there he would meet with an old woman. She had legs like a chicken, and bristles on her white eyebrows that seemed to be borrowed from the brush of a fox's tail. She wore a red breast from loving too much, and a beak that could snap at you the truth of who you are. They met there before dawn, long before dawn. And the old man would build a fire, and the old woman would bring herbs and mushrooms and make tea with a bone spoon. They would sit in silence for an age in the darkness and drink the tea, remembering one another. Stars would drop down from the night sky and into their eyes, and sometimes they would fall again as tears. They would read the stars in each other's eyes and each other's tears, sometimes in silence, sometimes out loud. And they would tell of the year gone by and what the people had endured, lost, frittered away, gained, all measured in drops of starlight. But eventually, as the pitch of night deepened to its darkest, they would watch as the many shadowy things that lurked in the woods came out to be seen for the first time. Memories, dreams, images of people gone by, scenes from lives long lost, wishes that never came true, exiled souls and parts, bones and stones and moans filled the space with loss, deep loss. They would feel it all, and they would know what the people of the world had endured. And the shadows haunted their fire, but never put it out. And then, as happens, the first pale rays of sun began to highlight the outline of the trees, and they would stand up, and they would stand opposite one another and simply look. They saw deep into the other's soul, and as they met there, they laughed and laughed and began a merry dance where crooked bare legs kicked and teeth like pegs peaked. Through a song and a merry tune they clapped and spun and flicked and kicked and shooed and shuddered until they both fell onto the earth in hysterics, and the light had returned. They had seen to it, and the old man and the old woman rested then. And as they rested their bodies on the earth, they melted like snow, the sun turning them to water and mud, and back into the ocean of the earth beneath them they melted. Do you remember coming across the embers of their fire when you walked in the woods last? The only evidence of their sacred rites. Did you see how the ashes had protected the new shoots that pushed up and into the day as swords of green tentatively unfurling and clustering together in a show of obstinance to the winter? It was that day when winter held on, that day when you thought it would be frozen forever and the snow fell in heaps. Yet as you walked in the woods, you saw, you pawed, you clawed, you nuzzled away the snow and saw the embers and the ash of their fire and the shoots of green, and you looked upon them in awe and wonder. And that green remained the promise of your life to come. And now, in that promise you breathe. This time of year, it's a cold breath, a foggy breath, a misty breath, connecting you in and out, in and out, in and out of your life's breath, and the breath of the old man and the old woman in you. And so, as the wheel of the year turns, and as the winter begins, we wish you deep rest, renewal, and retrospect, and that your soul holds you gently in your story. Go well with love.